like Ambrose, or John Moxley, however you want to refer to him, he was somebody that like you could tell, like was all about the creativity and the passion aspect. So like you could tell that you knew that he still wanted to express that. He still wanted to be able to, engage in his passion. I don't know if Punk still has it anymore because I feel like if he did, he could have gone. Maybe he really wanted to do the MMA thing, but he could have gone somewhere else when he left WWE. Like he could have gone to New
Yeah.
Japan. He could have gone to Ring of Honor. He's still like AEW is a bigger catch, I guess, now, and it's maybe an easier workload or more money or whatever. But if he really wanted to wrestle, he had those avenues and he could have done it.
You
It would
know,
be awesome
Right.
to see him at All Out, but I just don't know what his thought process is.
Yeah.
Maybe you
you
just wanted to
guys
get the
think
MMA
that,
like out of his system, a little bit,
well,
like, and
hell
don't
Yeah.
Well,
worry,
he
he got it
got
knocked out of his system.
Yeah, it's
yeah
out.
2 times, and they beat the shit out of his
It's
system.
out.
2
I'm just saying,
times.
I think it would be smart actually to try to target AJ to try and get her in the company, and then kind of use her to try to get Punk like later on. Like how I think they might be able to like get Renee Young down the line, like when her contract's up because they have Dean now.
oh,
So it's
that's
just
the
like,
line. After what he's done, they're gonna penalize her. If she's not gone within 6 to 9 months, something's wrong because he's basically went on a national stage in a national setting and said it verbally and non-verbally. Hey, fuck you guys. So
Yeah.
there's going to be some blowback there for her. I know for sure. If you don't see it immediately, it'd probably be because it was seen too obvious. But I'm pretty sure she's going to get some blowback. I thought about it, and you guys chime in, anybody, but maybe the reason that she was pushed so hard, as far as like, oh, we're gonna put her on pay-per-views and take her off the pre-show, oh, we're putting her on Raw and things of that nature, was because they were trying to keep him there.
yep,
Oh yeah, definitely. I could definitely see
100%.
like, yeah.
Right. Now that he's gone, it's like, okay, well, fuck off. Like, we're going to take you off of this show and we're going to take you off of these and we're going to put you back here. There's not a whole lot she can do. And he basically went on to a media platform like Talk is Jericho or whatever and said, hey, these guys suck, which is something that the fan, a diehard or casual fan, has to know at this point. The product sucks,
Oh yeah.
but for a guy like him who was a staple and somebody that they really depended on, that was a big merchandise draw, that was a big draw with the Shield, that was one of their actual top guys at one point being a champion, he gets on TV or on, a podcast and says, hey, these guys suck. What they do sucks. The things they want us to do sucks. The people that write this shit, they know it sucks, but it's not anything we can do. It sucks. I don't want to work here because they suck. So
Yeah.
for that, there's going to definitely there has to be some blowback. It may not be obvious, but it's going to happen.
Especially for how like we know that Vince, how he views women, and it's very
Yes.
easy for him to be like, fuck her, like they're a dime a dozen,
Hmm.
just get another blonde, let's put Alexa on commentary, they're both white and blonde, they're the same person, so let's just bring her on and everything will be great.
It
Or
definitely
they'll
seems
move
like they're
back.
grooming Charlie Caruso for Renee's spot because she's doing everything that Renee used to do. And I feel like they're giving it to
Mhm.
that chick Charlie Caruso because they know Renee's gone.
Oh, and she hosted the pre-show for Takeover
Pre-show,
tonight, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
did.
I just think with Charlie, they love that like she also works at ESPN, so they're trying to
Yeah.
like mooch on that as much as possible.
That makes
Man.
sense.
I
I'm
But
love
wondering-
that
Charlie
makes more sense
Caruso.
for her to do it then.
Yeah, and I'm wondering the blowback, like if Renee Young could play like the woman card on that, because like really taking her down a spot, she could like play that up, and it might look bad for them. I wonder how like she would play it, or if she'd be like, whatever, I don't care, I'll be
Maybe
out of
she,
here.
maybe,
in 6
maybe she
months.
wants to be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to AEW and I don't really give a shit.
It'll definitely
Well,
look like
I'm
retaliation
sure
on their part.
yeah, no, definitely. And I'm sure in their mind at some point, and this is an assumption, we don't know, but, it would be like, well, you're complicit because you were there when he did this podcast. You were
Yeah, you heard
he
Jericho
expressed
say
himself.
like hi to her
Yeah,
when she
hi,
came in.
Renee.
He's like, hi,
Yeah,
Renee.
and when he said that, I was like, ooh.
I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, I didn't hear that
Yeah,
part.
oh,
Yeah,
shit,
he says hi to
yeah.
her, and you hear her like doing stuff in the kitchen in the background.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, she's definitely complicit, but it's not a lot she can do. But and that's what I'm thinking. he's kind of inadvertently. I know he didn't say all he could have said. CM Punk on the podcast he did with Cole Cabana didn't spare any expense. You suck. What you thought about suck. The guy's in charge. He didn't care because there was no AJ Lee there. She left when he left. I think John Moxley, to his credit, was trying to not make as much trouble, but it's kind of like the cat's out of the bag now at this point. You told things that nobody knew or whatnot. Up until a week ago, everybody thought this was a work. But now you're saying, hey, them wanted me to lose to Nia Jax. Not that I have a problem with her. That was stupid. Them wanted me to do comedy bits. That was stupid. I told them this one helped EC3 for me to do something. That was stupid. And every time, I thought it was surprising that he said they asked him to extend his contract to do a European tour, and he told them to call somebody else. Those are things you wouldn't get out of anyone else.
No, and all that stuff with when Punk did his on Cole Cabana's podcast, everybody like it let us see into the business a little bit, but there were still a lot of people that were like, oh, Punk's just
great.
Yeah, exactly. Punk's just bitter. That's not how it is. And for a while, and maybe ever since then, or for however long, there's been a bunch of us. I mean, we talked about it the last time we all got together. Like, it seems like WWE's like writing process or booking process sucks and it's bad. And we all named a bunch of things that we thought were going on. And then Ambrose on Jericho's podcast basically confirmed all of it. Like, everything he said was how the internet wrestling community like talks and thinks that WWE like works. We all think like, oh, this is how they do their promos. This is what Vince acts like. This is what Vince does. And then, Ambrose went and confirmed all of it. And I think it's super funny. I saw a video on Twitter like last week. Rollins was at WizardCon or something, and somebody asked him a question like, oh, how do you feel, backstage when you get your scripted promos and you're just reading off a script and there's like no creativity and you don't get to like make up your promos. And Rollins was like, oh, have you been backstage? Because that's funny. I've never seen you back there. And everybody in the crowd like laughed and basically told the guy who asked the question to like fuck off, because Rollins was like, that's not how it is. You're not back there. And then we get, Ambrose's account, who's basically like, that's what it is. Like, we literally get a script and it's filled with stupid lines, and we try to change them and we're not allowed to, and we have to read off of a script. So like, there was all this kind of, contrary evidence to make us think like, no, that's not how it is. We're not in the business. Punk was just being a crybaby. That's not how it operates. And then, Moxley comes out and is like, nope, this is exactly how it is. How everybody thinks it's shitty. That's what it is. It's shitty.
Right.
But you've gotten some of the same shit from Dave Bautista. That's why he left. Chris Jericho. That's why he won't go back. It's kind of been there, but they would only say so much. But I mean, to get a whole detailed, hey, this is what they do to us, and maybe for Rollins, it may not happen, because I feel like for certain guys or certain people, they say, okay, I think they give John Cena free reign. Go out there, say what you want.
Yeah.
We'll deal with the blowback later. Just don't get too out of hand. But for a Dean Ambrose or, whoever, they say, okay, listen, this is what you have to say.
Yeah, it's that pecking order.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Dean was, to a certain degree, he said it at the end of that podcast, hey, I'm a wild animal. I can't be domesticated for very long. They didn't know how to deal with him. They didn't get what he was and who he is and how he does things. And I think it was the same thing with Punk. CM Punk was better when left alone. CM Punk, to a certain degree, before he was wrangled in by WWE, if you think about it, was probably one of the last territorial wrestlers you'll ever see. He wrestled everywhere. He worked everywhere. He was a top guy everywhere. When he gets here, he's not accustomed to being told, hey, you have to do this. You have to do this. Hey, we need you to do this. He kind of just felt, he went with the ebb and flow and said, hey, I want to put this guy over. Hey, I think it's better if we do this. And people would say, well, fuck it. This guy's been everywhere. He's been over. He knew what to do. And then he got there and it wasn't like that anymore. And they turned him into the bad guy. The difference was,
it's basically the same thing. It's
right.
The same story with the same culprits.
The only difference was CM Punk was so over and so hot, you couldn't silence him. Dean Ambrose has never been the hottest he was when he won the WWE title, and we all know what happened after the WWE title, Keithan. So
Yeah. He went on a Stone Cold podcast and shortly after lost that title and never got it back.
right,
That's true.
right. So I mean, I think to be honest with you, I think the lunatic fringe thing might have been his idea, but they didn't know what to do with it, and they weren't gonna let him do what he wanted. So it didn't
Because they
pan
wouldn't let
out.
him do real things with it. He was like a lunatic, and their idea of him being a lunatic was like, oh, wear like a tank top and slap yourself in the face. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And he was
Ooh,
like,
Eat
what?
tape
popcorn in the crowd.
your wrists.
Yeah, lunatics tape their wrists and wear jeans and boots. It's crazy.
Right.